Good morning, Democrats. Well, testing. Well, good morning, Democrats. Happy Labor Day weekend, and I'm going to call this first Friday meeting of Sandoval County Democrats to order. The time is 11:26. And I want to let everybody know that we are live streaming this Facebook Live. Welcome to all of you at home viewing us here. I want to say a big thank you to the rain for letting us have this meeting here on this Labor Day. We hope that everybody will support them and continue to give them their business. Rain has many locations. Those of you on the live stream, when you get the chance to come out, please come and support the rain. They're an amazing business and we really appreciate them. I'm going to start with the pledge and get that out of the way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our state pledge. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Thank you. So to start, we're going to tell you guys about a few initiatives that DPSC is undergoing and has undergone to update everybody on the agenda and what's going on during the future. The first thing that I will tell you, and I will stress it for every meeting, please visit our Sandoval County Democrats County website. It is recently redone. We have Spanish translations. There's lots of information. Our upcoming events are all on there, as well as news articles and important information about what's going on in the county and local offices around you. I also want to mention our newsletter coming out every month. Our wonderful secretary, Gordon, has prepared it for September. We have a lot of interesting articles in there, a lot of interesting contributions, so please check that out. It will be emailed to all of you on our list, as well as available at our website, sandovaldemocrats.org. And then the exciting announcement that I would like to let all of you know is that our Sandoval County rules have passed. We held this CCC meeting this past Saturday. We had a pretty good turnout, and we had an even greater turnout with the votes online. We're really excited about these rules. They mean a lot of things to the county. This is the first time that we have adopted these rules for our county party. We're changing up a lot of things, institutionalizing committees that are very important to how our county is run, expanding the vote on our executive committee, and institutionalizing the numbers for how we distribute seats on the CCC. So lots of important things have happened. It's a big accomplishment. Thank you to Chris and Ed, who have worked tirelessly to build these rules, and Karen, who was also on our rules committee. They did a really good job coming together, putting these, thinking through everything. It's been a big process, and we are very proud of this accomplishment. Thank you all, those of you who voted as well. So next, I would like to call out our current chair to talk about a few other of our county initiatives.
Hey, thanks, Isaac. So a couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, hello to new arrivals. We have a fundraiser that's happening September 25th in Algodones. It's the Keep Sandoval Blue fundraiser. We're hoping that all of you will come out and support the party. You can make your donation to the event at sandovaldemocrats.org. And then you just scroll down and click more information about the event. And there's a great picture of a wonderful, wonderful governor. So please support our event. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have some great surprise speakers there. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I hope that's working as a teaser. The other thing I want to mention is that we, this month is voter registration month. So we're trying to make sure that everybody's voter registration is updated. And if you are a registrar, like me, he's a registrar, I'm a registrar, it's very easy to become a registrar. If you want to be a registrar, you can just go see Ann Brady Romero, our county clerk, and she'll point you in the right direction to get registered. To be a registrar, it takes about, maybe 10 minutes. And we get instructions and a nice little packet of applications, and it's easy to do. To those of you out in Facebook Grande right now, you can update your registration or become registered by going to nmvote.org. nmvote.org. So, or our Secretary of State's website, or of course, and our county clerk's website. So please tell your friends and family if they're not registered, please become registered. This is the big push, the big month to do so. Thank you. Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you to our chair. So at this point, I just want to acknowledge our elected officials that have showed up and have quite a few in the room for a small turnout. First one is our DA, Barbara Romo. Constant turnout, great quarter. Thank you so much. Our county clerk, Ann Brady Romero, saluted to. Thank you. We also have our county assessor, Linda Gallegos. And of course, we have our county commissioner, Katherine, Bruch. And then, of course, I was remiss if I didn't mention Laura Montoya, who is not currently elected, but she was our former county treasurer. Thank you, Laura, for coming. So, at this point, I would like to invite Barbara Romo up to speak just briefly.
I don't think I'll mess with the microphone, I'll probably mess it up, so. Hello everyone, again, my name is Barbara Rowe. I think I know most of you, I've been newly elected. I guess it's not new anymore. I believe it's already been 9 months, but just some things I've been working on this month, or this week, I've been working really hard on the budget, which we do September 1st. And I'm really trying hard to get some more money for our district. In particular, Sandoval County, as y'all know, was the fastest growing county per the census of any county in the state. And I'm trying really hard to break the misconception that Albuquerque is only 2.5 times larger than our district, but they have 4.5 times the budget. So there's something really wrong with that. Some of the things I've been working on, the Citizens Advisory Board, that's going to be coming up pretty soon. We were trying to get a law enforcement diversion program. Unfortunately, we didn't get the funding for that. They gave it to another county. Still trying to find out what county that is. Trying to get a veteran support going and some of those things. But I really push and emphasize to my employees the importance of community involvement. So you'll see us out at most events. I saw a lot of you at the Sunday. And I'm just trying to get them to invest more in the community because that's my goal. One of my big goals is to make the district attorney's office not seen as just some, an entity that goes out and arrests bad people. We want to become part of the community and a contributing member of the community. So again, thank you all. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if I can do anything for you except for explain a case, unless it was a marijuana offense for this part of the case. But other than that, I'm here to serve you guys. So if you have anything to hold me, please don't hesitate. Thank you.
Next, I just want to call Laura Montoya to the stage briefly. She has an announcement for y'all.
Hi everyone. So we all know I'm running for state treasurer. So today I want to invite everyone here and online to our first announcement party It's going to be Tuesday the 21st, and it's going to be at 1 Central in Albuquerque at a new place called Canvas Artistry. He's a local business owner. We have grown up together as adults, and he's really expanded the business, so I'm excited to be there. They're going to have Marisol Flores be able to sing for all of you. So I really hope you all will come. It's at 5:05, so you can't forget. 5:05 until about 7:30, and it'll be outdoors in the patio so everyone can feel safe. And I just want to tell you all, when I was thinking about who was in this room, how many amazing people have really helped walk with me through the journey. And when you look at the elected officials, they're all women, and they rock. And each one of those women have done something that has been so impressive to me. You know, when I met Barb, I didn't know her, and she went up against Jay Block when he was being very disrespectful to her. I don't know if you remember this, Barb. He was so hurtful to her, and she was before the commission, and she just put him in his place. I literally was so confounded by it. I wrote her a letter, and I took it to her office for them to give to her, saying thank you for sticking up for not just yourself, but it made me feel like I could stick up for myself. And then I look at Anne, and Anne really had a tough time in the clerk's office before she became clerk. And then when she was the boss, they still were trying to manhandle her. And she said, not today. I know what my rights are, and we're going to have to over like you, Debbie, and that's that. And then, of course, very personal to me is Linda, who works for me as my chief deputy, finances, she knows investments, and she's brilliant at that stuff. But I had to sacrifice for the common good so that we could have an assessor that comes to work every day and do the job with integrity. And so now I'm very proud to stand with these women and be a former elected official in Sandoval County, the fastest growing county, as Barb said, in a place where it's not usually customary to have this many women in our elected offices. And yet, now that we do, things are happening that are good and positive for our community. And there's a representation that reflects who we are and what we value, not only as women, but as constituents. And so I just want to expand that to the state treasurer's position and be able to do that for us so that the first female state treasurer of New Mexico is someone who is competent, who is capable, who understands finances, who understands New Mexico, and is willing to serve. So please join us on the 21st. I'd love to have you all there. And if you can join our campaign, I'd love that as well. Thank you.
I will say a big thank you to all the women who stand up there and inject a little bit of attention to the atmosphere, okay? One of those women that I'd like to call next is Linda Gallegos, our current county assessor.
Hello, everybody, and I always, of course, love being in the room with all of you guys, certainly, but as Laura mentioned, with these women, and I appreciate so much what Laura has done for me, and I can tell you, working side by side with Laura, into many late evenings, I can tell you, in the treasurer's office, I fully support, and I'm so excited to be standing and helping Laura, hopefully, because anything she's got for state treasurer, I wholeheartedly know firsthand how she has, what she's done for Sandoval County, and I look forward to her helping the state of New Mexico. So with that being said, I also want to let you know, Lord was the one who gave me the push to say, okay, now you know what it's like. It's time for you to do it for the assessor's office, because as Laura mentioned, we had somebody who wasn't coming to work. And so I want to tell you guys, I know I've seen some of you guys in the office, thank you for stopping in, but this is only my third year, and it is time to already be thinking about running again next year. So I do want to announce that I will be running again for the Sandoval County Assessor position for next year. And just to kind of let you know what my goal has been for the past, certainly the time that I started there in 2019. One of our major pushes has been to remove discounts for a major landowner that's been in Sandoval County, that maybe it's time that they didn't deserve the discounts. We've been working on that. We've been working on a reappraisal certainly, that's ongoing. But I can tell you, a big push that we've done since I've started is the agricultural. And just as an example, just because I know, I don't want to bore you with everything we do at the Sessions Office, but I want to explain how important it is that we get it right. Because just one example that we've done recently, we had a protest, some property over 5 acres in Corrales that should have a value of over $1 million is getting an agricultural reduction, which brings it down to a taxable value of only $4,000. So what that means to us, of course, is that gets spread among the rest of us in Sandoval County. And as most of you know, my family's been here over 45 years in Sandoval County. And so that's why I think I take it so personally, because when things aren't fair and equitable, that means we're picking up the lion's share for somebody else. So again, just as an example of what we've been doing and what we're working on and what we will continue to do is make sure that everybody's value is fair and equitable. But thank you so much. I'm Linda Gallegos, and I will be running for Sandoval County Assessor again. Thank you.
Keep the mic short. I'm going to call up our keynote speaker today, Commissioner Bruch.
Thank you all for coming out today. And it's a very intimate group, so we might change our style a little bit today and just have this more conversation. I did want to just bring you up to date a little bit. Tell you that I do have a re-election event scheduled. I will be announcing formally on the 8th, which is this coming week, here at the range. It will be outdoors, so if anybody has a chance to stop by and say hello, please do. It's going to be very casual. But Senator McKenna will be joining us, and hopefully a few other dignitaries can stop in as well. So please, 5:30, good question. And so that kind of leads me into how I'd like to do this a little bit is try to answer some of your questions. Obviously, being up for re-election is very kind of daunting because you think you're going to accomplish so much in those first 4 years. And you learn very quickly how slow government works. And for me, this being my first venture into an elected office, it was even more than I expected. But that doesn't change the reality of how many things I have been working on and how different our current commission is just because I'm there. And I hate to say that, to take all that on, but the reality is, to the other women who have spoken, it has changed the climate. The atmosphere is different. And yes, there are challenges. We do get pushback, and we do have to kind of stomp our feet and say, wait a minute, you're not going to do that with us, just because we happen to be a woman. But it has helped lower some of the rhetoric. And, we've been fairly civil to each other on the dais. Of course, some of the most controversial issues have not been brought to the public, and so that has probably helped as well, because I think our Republican counterparts kind of got their fill with, even though they came out with, some support for right to work and for oil and gas drilling in Sandoval County, they saw you. They saw the numbers of people who showed up and said, no, that's not who we are. We want to, we really want you to hear our voices, and that those issues resonate with us. We're going to be here. We're going to speak publicly. We're going to pack this room, and you did. And so that made a tremendous difference to, I think the taste was, ooh, we better be very cautious about how we would proceed with these types of issues. So anyway, I commend you all and the public out there for doing that very thing. So what ends up happening because of this transition is that we are actually doing a few things right. We're able to recognize through proclamations and through presentations some of the nonprofits and organizations that work the daily lives of our constituents and residents in the county, whether that is, my oh, no, I can get louder. But, you know, so that the community at large knows that there are so many people who are volunteering continuously, you know, at our various nonprofits, at our food banks, in various areas around COVID and mental health issues, as well as vaccines. We had tremendous numbers of volunteers that showed up to support the vaccines that we did across the county. And here in Bernalillo, there were numerous events where people showed up. And so we know that knowing that it is not only government that impacts the future of our lives across our county is really important. We're also able to start to work on some of the nuts and bolts of things that need to be addressed within the county. The public safety, we are relatively safe in some ways, but we know that funding resources, that we have a tremendous shortage of space for offices for our public servants. As well, our VA, for example, is very crowded. The judges are in need of multiple new courts. Both are requesting additional staffing. So these things are being put on our, strategic plan for how do we address these issues. Bringing it back home, we are doing some of that right today, within the next few weeks. The contract for the new public safety building will be coming before the commission, and that will house the sheriff and the EOC. So we have a new emergency manager, and there will be space to locate emergency planning and operations in the same building with the sheriff, and we're really excited for that to get underway. Because the sheriff is housed in the Justice Center, that will open space in that building to talk about, can we actually put more courtrooms in this space, or what can we do to support our justice system? In the meantime, within a few weeks, we will also be opening officially the Fire Administration Building. The Fire Administration Building will be here in the town of Bernalillo. If you hadn't heard from me speak about this previously, it will be at the railroad station, 550 Railroad Station, where previously the county owned this property. It went to Rio Metro, it went to MRCD, it's just kind of a hodgepodge of who owned it and who occupied it over the years, but it is now back in county county ownership. And it will be our Fire Administration Building. It has great training space. So these are things that are going to really help us provide resources for internally and externally for the community to train on, emergency management, how our firefighters we have. As you may know, most of our firefighters in the system here in Sandoval County are volunteers. So, in terms of the hard business that's happening, that's kind of what we're doing on the ground. There are other projects. Many of you know that the Placitas Community Library will be having a grand opening in the very near future. I believe that's the 25th. And that is a county building, though the community raised all the funding for that addition. So it will now be the responsibility of the county to maintain and support the community library there. As you know, we have the public libraries, so all of our libraries in the county are run through communities and our pueblos. So it's an important part of not only resource, but physical resource, for space and books and things, but it's our digital resource for our communities. Because many people do not have good connectivity, and they use our local libraries for that purpose. So I think I'm preaching to the crowd. Most of this you may already know, but so I thought what I'd do is just tell you, this morning I was at Los Poblanos in Los Ranchos. What a beautiful property. And the reason I was there is because here in Bernalillo, the county owns some property near the intersection of 550, 528. Many of you may know it as Ozokolo. It is actually, there is an entire historic area here in the town of Bernalillo that we are trying to continue to preserve and make sure there's an overlay, so to speak. So if at some point it is going to be used commercially, we will ensure that the historic aspects of the property are protected. So if you're looking to book a wedding, county would love to hear from you, or an anniversary, or a retirement party, because El Zocalo is a lovely space to do that, especially with the fall coming. And there is an outdoor portico for a band or something like that if you want to do that. It was really exciting to go and see how Los Lagos has expanded over the very many years since it was originally designed. And we just know that we too can perhaps be a location for great new innovative things that are going on, like pop-up bars and pop-up restaurants and pop-up farmers markets, to encourage people to just come out and enjoy our beautiful communities. I hope many of you have taken a look at the website, see Sandoval. It is amazing and it covers a very vast and beautiful county. So, I have a list of stuff I was going to tell you that we're working on. Last night, I was able to get the commission to unanimously support the Rio Grande Basin study. So if any of you have heard about that, it's a really important part of how we're going to think about no action at this point, but 25 partners, all levels of government, talking about how we're going to protect our water resources, not only the amount of water, but the quality of the water, and what we will do in the future. So I'm very excited that the commission supported that, and we'll be a partner in it. So that being said, what do you want to know? What's up? Laura?
Do you have an event coming up soon?
Yeah, I do have an event coming up. Once again, that is September 8th here at the Range Outdoors at 5:30. And I hope that many of you will stop by and say hello. I'm so excited to announce my reelection campaign. Katherine, Bruch, your current Sandoval County Commissioner. This is one. Please, this man.
Hi. When is 550? I keep getting asked this by my parents. When is the construction done on 550?
What a great question. And Chris was happy to join me. You know Christoph, my campaign manager as well as my consultant. He has been on this journey with me, and he's been so helpful. But we visited DOT a couple weeks ago, and we had a long list. But of course, 550 was the first thing that came up. And of course, they said their target is by the end of the year. Now, that being said, it was very clear that it was probably going to roll into the first quarter of next year. But when I drove through last night, I was fairly impressed with how things were moving along. So, we got our fingers crossed in the year. Yes, sir, Isaac.
Can you just tell everybody, I don't know if everybody here knows the whole concept of what's being put in 550,
Yeah, some of you may have been in the admin building pre-pandemic, so to speak, when we were showing the videos, but you can go on to MMDOT and to our website, I think it's still up, where it actually shows a traffic flow. And for any of you who have been to maybe Salt Lake City, you may have seen what is called a continuous traffic pattern. And you're getting a clue to how this works. If you're coming north on 528 to get on 550, you see how that you can just kind of flow into 550 going eastbound. It's something like that for that whole intersection. No flyover. I think there was some confusion around that, but it will. I mean, we do still have a problem because there's significant traffic lights on 550 through the corridor, but I think you're going to find that we're at about 40,000 vehicles a day through the corridor there, basically I-25 to 528. So we know, how many people are commuting. There's little birds saying that maybe one day there will be another river crossing, but boy, I wouldn't count on it anytime soon. So, anything else? Anything that's just bugging you that you want to know? Are you doing anything about this or thinking about it?
I don't know but it's kind of my understanding that each commissioner gets a budget that they spend on their community. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's really it hasn't been very transparent historically. Since I've been in office, my money's kind of stayed put up for the most part. I haven't done a lot until this year. And so with our we have a new county attorney and some new support staff over the last couple of years. And what we're working on is making sure there is a process in place for us to take those funds and decide how to allocate them, but to make sure that we're letting the community know where those dollars are going. It's not a lot of money. My understanding is that it has been less than $100,000 per district per year. Per fiscal year. And so it goes pretty fast. And especially, I know Commissioner Eichel this year used a significant portion for one major project. And it was an infrastructure project, which is very important to his district. So that shows, his commitment to the fairgrounds in that area out in Cuba. I took a different tack after talking to the county attorney about how we want to make this transparent and we want to publicize what we're doing. I have chosen kind of some buckets. I have some nonprofits, some internal, which would be within the county departments, and then some other governments to support on very specific initiatives. A lot of this money has not been distributed because I'm still trying to get that process thing formalized. But I have been able to execute several of the nonprofits. And CASA, some of you are familiar with, New Mexico Kids, has to do with foster parents. I was able to execute that nonprofit donation. The other two that should be finalized are Rebuilding Sandoval, and some of you may be familiar with that. They go out and help with folks who are struggling with issues around their homes, whether that would be insulation, or maybe they needed a ramp because to get a wheelchair into their house or something like that. So they've been really, sometimes they do big stuff, like a roof, but that's a lot of money, and it's, a really difficult situation to get that funding.
So is that how means tested?
Yes, and absolutely. And so Rebuilding Sandoval, they do have a small store here in Berleo where they take donations for resale so that they can, and donations obviously of items to reuse in the repairs and things they make. But they also have this little shop where they sell all kinds of things to try to make money to put back into their project. So they're one of the ones that I executed this year as well. And then the Sandoval County Historical Society, which has had a huge presence here in Sandoval County for many years. They have a building, a museum, and many of you know the Martha Lieber Library here in Berleo. She is one of the directors there. And so it's really something that is important to me, that we preserve our culture and our history. And if you've ever been in the administration building, you'll notice all the veterans display there. The Sandoval County Historical Society did that under a previous commission, supported that. So that was cool, and I'm excited. I've got a few more of those, but the government-to-government ones are very specific initiatives. A A lot of them are around our local water districts, domestic, as we call them, domestic. So, you know, in our small communities that need help. And I'm looking to think about those for next year. So if you think you have a cause that would be appropriate, definitely needs, we want to focus on District 1, obviously. But we want to do what we can to help those people help us provide services for our constituents. Thanks for the question. All right. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, and you know, that's kind of on the down low still. You know, we know that we were selected as a site here, Rio Rancho actually, but in Sandoval County, out by the Armory. For some of you who are familiar with the lay of the land there, there was some property there that was state land office and BLM, and kind of went through an iteration of who owned what. But the county has been pushing for some years for the veteran cemetery to come to Sandoval County. As you well know, Santa Fe is full up. And it's such a huge thing for us here in Sandoval. So many of our folks have served in the military. I don't even know the percentage, but we have the history. We have the history of our Navajo code talkers and our pueblos and our Hispanic communities have been such huge players, people who have joined the military and served. So we want to bring that home, so to speak, and make sure that we have that come to us. It is pretty well kind of stuck in VA. There are 5 different departments that are involved, but we have spoken with all of the congressional delegation and asked for their support. And of course, Senator Heinrich has a position where he can chat closely with the cabinet secretary. And so we're hoping that we're going to make that happen. That would be huge. Huge. All right. Oh, I saw that county chair going. All right. I can keep talking forever, you know that. I'm elected official. Okay, so let me bring it back to District 1 a little bit and think about a couple of things that you may or may not that I'm working on. The animal shelter is one of the things I really like for us to be able to do, you know, in my tenure. We are moving along quickly. It is something that we did receive funding from the legislature for. We also have a partner organization, a private entity that will be doing, are working with us. We hope to really expand this. Some of you may have seen a brief synopsis of this in the Signpost. But we are still struggling with finding some land. So if you know anybody that would like to donate 2 to 5, maybe 6 acres in District 1 would be really lovely, because we'd like to have that I-25, I-50 intersection as part of it. All of this is where we were originally looking, and we're still working on an agreement there. But it's, you know, it's tough. Prices have gone up, property selling, you know, at very high prices, appraisals are coming in a little higher than we like. I think it's still doable with one potential property that we're looking at, but if you know of anybody that would love to support animal welfare in that corridor, I'd love to hear from you, because there may be something out there I don't know. Let's see, animals, okay, mining. One of our favorite topics, especially for those folks who live in Placitas. We know that we have multiple mines along the I-25 corridor. And many of you know that the Fisher Mine and the Placitas Mine do have a drop dead date. And that's good. So we know that mining will end on those locales. Santa Ana is closed basically, there's no mining there. The Baca mine is intermittent as far as I know. So there's less of it. Doesn't mean it's going to leave Sandoval County. but we always want to be talking about, water usage, protect air quality, and the things that do affect us, because currently we do not reap any financial benefit from mining in our area, because the point of sale has been Albuquerque. So this has been an ongoing issue. You say, well, I don't want that environmentally, and there's some, it's hard to stop some of these things. We can't control it completely, but it would be nice to have some funding that we could offset some of the consequences of that and do everything we can to control some of the choices that the mining operations are making around water use, for example. Okay, I am working on some trail initiatives. And one of the things that you also may have heard about is that there's been some conversation about a demand around bikeways or hiking trails. And so we're starting to talk about, is that real demand? Does someone who wants this? And if they want it, what are they going to come to the table with? Because we need people who are going to maintain the trails, and Sandoval County doesn't have Parks and Rec, but we have a fairground, and we have property that was patented to us from BLM out in the Cuba area. So we know that there can be a vision of having Parks and Rec. We are the fastest growing county in the state of New Mexico. So these are things that you kind of have to go, well, how do we get there? And maybe it's a transition where, like Albuquerque has the open space and maybe we get a little bit more BLM in there. Maybe we work with some of our nonprofits, which I'm starting to do, on some of these potential hiking trails. And just talked with Commerce this morning, who was actually on the tour with Los Obama's. And they're telling me they've got more funding for this very thing that, I didn't know that. I mean, hearing there's all kinds of funding, but with COVID, we now don't have to meet some of the same criteria that we had to previously meet. So I'm very excited for us to continue to promote tourism and outdoor tourism and film and things that are not going to damage our environment, that is going to share how wonderful and enchanting and entrapping New Mexico is, and Sandoval County specifically, so that people do come and visit and enjoy our wonderful communities. Linda, do you have something?
Back on the mining, wasn't there something new with the gross receipts tax with the last session that might affect that? That's one question I have.
Yes, that is correct, and I am still trying to get to the bottom of it because this has come up very recently, in fact yesterday. For many of you, the new project at Intel and the expansion there is one of those that very specifically says that we were going to give them money, but they needed to also give us some of those gross receipts. Well, there was a certain code that had to be entered by all of the vendors. So every construction company, anybody who worked who was out of Albuquerque, previously, they went home and, they paid their gross receipts tax and it went to Albuquerque. And that is not the case for this, for the Intel project and for some of the changes that were passed. So I'm still trying to get my head around that completely because there do seem to be some glitches. Some of you may have read about some of this in the paper this week where there was a settlement and $50 million was a fine, basically, that was going to have to go back to some of these other locales. And I think that this is not going to just, there were only half a dozen or less litigants in that case. Sandoval County was not one of them, but we understand that it is going to affect all of the state. So I think that's a tax and grant issue. So more to come on how much of that money we get back. There's a lot of moving parts and with taxation. There's like a black hole out there that clearly, we don't always get all the money back that we should, and we want to continue to try to clean that up, and it may be a legislative fix.
And the other question, Kathy, you talked about the drop dead rate on 2 miles,
Yeah.
and I can't remember when it is, 2027 or something, whatever it is. So who will be working on the reclamation?
Okay.
Who's responsible?
So with Fisher, that is an arrangement with the town of Orlando, and that is for flood control. And I don't know if Scottsdale was also involved, but probably. So that's going to protect the town when all the mining is complete there. Because Las Posibles mine, that is, Mount Adams is the owner of that property. So there is a very good chance that they will want to develop it into something. Now, what that is a huge question. And maybe we will have an annual meeting with Mount Trailer and Vulcan coming up. And some of the folks that were involved in that originally with the settlement and arbitration will be attending. It's probably going to be around late September. I'm waiting for confirmation from that from the county attorney. But it definitely Mount Adams has to come to the table as well, just because they own the property. So this is kind of premature because some of the reclamation work is being done as mining finishes. But that doesn't mean they're going to leave that fallow. I would imagine it's going to want they're going to want to develop it pretty quickly. While the economy is with housing. So we'll see. So we'll be talking to them. We'll keep talking to them. All right. This is fun. And I know, everybody has their own individual questions or focus. So if you ever want, to reach out, email me, call me, text me. I will answer. I may not answer immediately, but I will get back to you. And of course, we always have those crisis events that we're trying to deal with, and most recently they were monsoon related in the Basin area for some folks, but it was also affected other communities, and we just want to work on making sure we have the emergency manager and the fire chief and everybody headed the right direction to be prepared, because as you can see, nationally we had some very serious events over the last couple of weeks. And it really happens at the local level. We have to take care of the people. We are going to be the ones that have to go rescue people if an event happens, and fire, flood, whatever it might be. So we want to make sure that we're funding them properly, providing training and resources that are going to do what needs to be done in a crisis. Climate change is, not a hoax. All right, I've said enough. I love this. Thank you. Cal.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bruch, for that wonderful update. Always an awesome speaker at these events. With that, I just have a few more things for y'all, then we'll close this up. I want to remind y'all, please come attend second Saturday at Tucci's in Rio Rancho. It's next week, Saturday at 11. Hope to see you all there. Get some good food there as well. And of course, we're going to have, who's speaking? Matthew Kusal, our Secretary of State. So it'll be quite the interesting conversation. So I hope to see you all there. And then I would just like to remind you guys to keep your eyes out for 2 upcoming events. We recently had our first North County event in Cuba, and it went very well. We're super excited, and I know some of you were there. I hope that when the next one rolls around, it should be in November, we will continue to see good turnout, and we hope to see you guys drive up there. Cuba in November. We do have another one in October, but
I just have a quick question on that. Do we still have watermelon at Florida?
I have a watermelon sitting in my fridge, but I don't think it's gonna make that long. Yes, there was more than enough watermelon and fried bread for everybody. It was very delicious, so I hope the next meeting it all gets eaten there. But yeah, please keep an eye out for more North County events, Beautiful Drive, wonderful time. The other event that I want you guys to keep your eye out for is a political rally we are planning on having here in Bernalillo. It will be sometime in middle of October. We hope to see candidates there as well as the public. We're going to promote it. We're going to get some good turnout. We had a similar one in Rotary Park in 2018 before all this COVID mess with the governor, and it was a great time. We're hoping to replicate that this time. So keep your eyes peeled for that event as well. With that said, I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank everybody who spoke today. Thank you to those of us who joined us on the live stream, couldn't be here in person. And thank you to the Range for hosting us. Have a great Friday.